the virtual lighting of the ceremonial lamp and inaugurate the event.
तमसोमा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मामृतङ्गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति.
Thank you. Sustainable development, a term coined by the Brundtland Report, published in 1987 by the United Nations World Commission on Environment and Development, a concept we all have been made familiar with since younger classes. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by the United Nations member states in 2015, provides a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet now and into the future. At its heart are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which are an urgent call for action by all the countries developed and developing in a global partnership. They recognize that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies that improve health and education, reduce inequality, and spur economic growth, all while tackling climate change and working to preserve our oceans and forests. Through the pledge to leave no one behind, countries have committed to fast track progress for those furthest behind first. That is why the SDGs are designed to bring the world to several life changing zeros, including zero poverty, zero hunger, AIDS, and discrimination against women and girls, and make this world a better place for everyone in it. Over to you, Akshata.
A very good morning to one and all present here. Today, we have been joined by Ms. Tamanna Girdhar. She is the Assistant Program Manager at the UN Global Compact Network, India. Ms. Tamanna Girdhar is a postgraduate in Natural Resource Management from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University. She has 6 years of experience in corporate sustainability and CSR policy and regulations to accelerate the business sustainability through facilitating policy dialogues, capacity building programs, and raising philanthropic funds. Currently, at the Global Compact, she is involved with natural programmatic interventions and building strategy for the key business stakeholders in aligning 17 sustainable goals, UNGC principles through various capacity building training programs, workshops, and policy dialogues, and reporting the best innovative practices in sustainability. She is actively engaged and driving the UNGC key initiatives, which involve a larger participation of private sector that includes SDG ambition, corporate water stewardship, science-based target initiative, target gender equality and responsible education. So it brings me immense pleasure to invite Ms. Tamanna Girdhar with all her perception. The floor is yours, ma'am.
The sustainable development goals, the sustainability, and what is the relevance as of now to the sustainable development in India, and how we are taking forward the agenda. So, I will give a very short presentation on this for this platform on the sustainable development goals and the schools that have already been initiating this concept about the sustainability. So I'll be taking you through what is exactly the sustainable development goals, how the goals have been launched, and what are we doing in terms of the sustainability, and how the linkage of the sustainable development goals and the United Nations have been transformed in all these 5 years since the launch of the SDGs in September 25th to 27th at the UN Sustainable Development Goal Summit. As you all are aware that the UN General Assembly always convene in the month of September, and in 2015, 193 countries of the UN General Assembly, they adopted the SDGs at the Sustainable Development Summit. So this summit happens every year in the month of the September, and on 2015, when the Millennium Development Goals were at the verge of the not able to complete the targets, the UN General Assembly adopted a new charter where all 113 countries adopted the goals, and they have to be achieved by 2030. So the goals and the timelines are so much in a way that the 2030 was the exact timeline that we have to make it ensure that how sustainable development goals have to be achieved. And on January 2016, the sustainable development goals of the agenda, they have been adopted by the world leaders at the historical summit, which came into the force in January itself only. And since then, all the nations who have been participating in the UN General Assembly, the 193 countries, have made a charter that they will implement the Sustainable Development Goals within their country. So the new goals have been almost like in a way transformed, like all the countries, whether rich, whether poor, whether middle income, they have to protect the planet, the peace, prosperity, everything they have to promote through the Sustainable Development Goals. So now, the another way to make you look at the SDGs is the fact that there are 5 principles that make a charter of the sustainable development. So when we talk about the sustainable development, as you all are aware that we have as of now 17 goals, right? And in 17 goals, we have almost all the things that in the development sector we try and comprehend. So in this way, the 5 P's that govern the SDGs are people, the planet, the partnership, the peace, and the prosperity. Now, when we talk about the sustainable development goals and the 5 principles we take on through the peace, partnership, we try and make it ensure that when we are implementing the sustainable development, we need to make all these 5 P's integrated. Now, in terms of the integration of the people, peace, planet, we are talking of lot of things. In planet, we have lot of things covering up climate change, plastic pollution, air pollution. We have to make it ensure that we protect first of all, the planet where we are staying. We have to conserve our natural resources, not exhaust them, whether it's water, whether it's forest, or whether it's about the air. And then when we conserve the natural resources, we automatically have to govern the people, the prosperity. And when we talk about the people and prosperity, we have to eliminate all sort of discrimination that has been happening. In people, we talk about the hunger, we talk about the malnutrition, the dignity, the equality, and the gender rights. Well, what is actually the gender rights of the men and the women? We have to be very equal. So there has to be all the basic rights. We have to make it ensure to all the people and for the prosperity that we are living in the harmony with the nature. We don't have to destroy with it. We need to live with this in harmony. We have to discriminate all the thing that has been against all the principles of all this and try and make it ensure that we have to achieve all these goals. And when we talk about the peace, there are a lot of things happening. There is a violence, there is a protest, there is a terrorism. We all need to stop all this, and it takes into another way to look at the sustainable development. So the sustainable development can only be achieved if we are doing everything within the partnership. So that's the last principle of the SDGs, that we talk about the partnership. And when I talk about the partnership, I mean to say the fact that in partnership, all the 4 P's, planet, people, prosperity, peace, they have to be achieved all together. And this has to be connected in a connection in a way that they have to be combined, they have to be integrated, so that we are living in harmony with the nature, and we are also not destroying the natural resources, and we are also maintaining the peace at the planet. So this is how another way when we talk about the sustainable development goals. Now, when all these goals were launched, so after the Millennium Development, we thought that not much of the agenda has been completed, and still we are not on track to make a development. So in 2015, the United Nations made out a very concrete charter on how we have to bring on in 15 years of the development. Now, in terms of the sustainable development, when we talk about, we have a lot of things to cover up. We are talking about the first goal, no poverty, zero hunger, all the malnutrition. We have to resolve good health and well-being. Now, in the times of the coronavirus, we are seeing that the health infrastructure is really at the brink. We really need to cope up with the health infrastructure in every country. Quality education, when we talk about the quality education, we mean to say that many of the million children are still not going to school, whether it's in rural areas or whether it's in urban slum. We need to provide the quality education to all the children who has been a part of this system, because they are the ones who are going to carry forward the future. Gender equality, we mean to say that we have to be very equal in terms of the rights given to the men and also to the women. So that is the way that the gender equality has to be achieved at all level of the stakeholders. When we talk about whether it's in academics, whether it's in corporates, whether it is in the NGOs, or whether it's at the government, we need to make it ensure that we are doing the equal part. Now, in another part, we come out with the now in six, that's clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, climate action, life on land, life below the water. So these are the basic principles under the environment when we segregate the sustainable development goals into the environment thing. Now in the environment, the climate action has to be there. Life below water, when we talk about, we are talking about the plastic pollution. The plastic pollution, the biodiversity, all the microorganisms in the water, they are getting depleted with the pollution that the humanity has been creating. And life on land is about the afforestation, growing more trees. So this is how we have segregated the goals, the 17 goals within definite terms. And then we have another aspect on the environment, that is the sustainable cities. You see the goal number 11 and the goal number 12. So the goal number 11 and the goal number 12 talks about the smart city. You all are aware about the smart city. What is exactly the smart city concept? How we are actually going on with this? Then we have the responsible consumption and production. And then in responsible and production, we talk about the waste management. Waste management is a very crucial concept which is coming up, and we all need to be very aware about this concept, that the going forward way in other 10 years, waste is the new wealth. So through the waste, we have to make all the innovations. Many people are coming up with their new innovation model. So we have to try and inculcate all the goals within the development part. And then when we talk about the development in infrastructure, we have aligned the goals, goal number 8, goal number 9. The goal number 9 talks about the industry, innovation and infrastructure, and goal number 8 talks about the decent work and economic growth. In both the goals, we are talking about how the companies, how the development, how the infrastructure, it has to be done in a very much in a sustainable way, which also takes from the fact that goal number 7, the renewable energy. The renewable energy is the one that we all have been seeing throughout a long time, that the renewable solar pump, solar water power, solar cells, all have been trying to implement in the buildings. So this is how going forward in another 10 years, we have to make it ensure that whatever development or infrastructure that we are planning has to be done in a very much in a sustainable way. Then we have the reduce inequalities. Now in the reduce inequalities, we talk about the differences. We need the basic rights given to the people. There we have in India, we have a protocol of Aadhaar card. We have all the rights given to the basic human rights. So that covers up in the reduce inequality. So that try and make it ensure that everything is done in a very sustainable way. Last but not the least, we have the peace, justice, and the strong institution. Through this, we have to make our government strong. We have to make our partnerships very much strong. We need to do everything in a very much in a transparent way. No corruption, no bribery. That is also a part of a sustainable development, and invoking all sort of terrorism that has been happening. So through the goal number 16, we are trying to make ensure that everything we have to do is through the peace, justice, and the strong institution. And the last goal is the partnership. So all these goals will be achieved if we are trying to make it ensure through the partnership of all these goals together. Moving on to the next, each and every goal is important in its own way. When we talk about one goal, it has an interconnection with the another goal. When I mean to say that each goal is important and they all are interconnected, is a fact that when we are trying to make one goal implement, we have to implement the other goal within each in a harmony. So basically, sustainable development is not simply about taking one goal, it is about the partnership of all the goals. So when we talk about the environment in the climate action, we are also talking a lot of things. In climate, we talk about the energy, we talk about the pollution, we talk about the infrastructure, we talk about the vehicles, we talk about the pollution norms. So everything has been correlated to each other. And even when we talk about the poverty, we are also talking about the education. So the poverty and education has a direct linkage to each other. In that way, all the goals are important and they are connected very well, and we need to follow these goals in a such a way that they have to be implemented all together. Now, this was something the Prime Minister in this Sustainable Development Summit in 2015 was launched, and when we were making a charter to make all the goals implement, what exactly was about the India's development? The Sustainable Development Goals would be half achieved if India's achieved it by 2030, because the India has a population second after China, and almost like 1.3 billion population is existing in India. And if we try and cover up in the another 10 years, half of the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals would have been done. And the much of the India's development agenda, what Mr. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said, that the much of India's development agenda is mirrored in the Sustainable Development Goals. Whenever we talk about any development in India in the past 5 years, it has always been mirrored with the Sustainable Development. Whether we talk about all the schemes, all the launch schemes, everything, whatever has been launched, it has been taken with the concept of the Sustainable Development. If we are able to achieve it by 2030, the half of the Sustainable Development Agenda would have been achieved by 2030, and we are on a very much on a track that we'll try and make it ensure that we have a life, a very beautiful life on this planet, and we are living in a harmony. And this year, as you all are aware of also about the fact that United Nations completed its 75 years on 24th of October. So on 24th of October, we launched a campaign on the UN 75 2020 and beyond. And that is why we are taking action, a decade of action going forward and shaping our future together. Because now we have only 10 years left to achieve the sustainable development. And the 10 years, if we are able to achieve at least half of it, we are nearly done with the sustainable development. So on 24th of October, we again launched a scheme that going forward, how the goals have to be accelerated, because still now we are not on track to make the achievement of the sustainable development goals. And if all the countries are working together parallelly and they are doing everything within the partnership, we will be try and make it ensure that by 2030, all the countries have been trying to achieve their half of the sustainable development goals at least. Now, when we talk about the India development, so the UN has given the priority areas. So we have 17 goals as of now. You all are aware about this now, how much, but we have given a specific priority areas to the India now. When we talk about the priority areas, we mean to say the fact that India has also given a priority to major issues that we have to still 2022. So after 2022, we are again going to launch one charter that will cover up another set of goals now. And we talk about the leave no one behind and reach the furthest behind first. So this is the overall concept of achieving the sustainable development goals with the outline of the objective on this. And when we talk about the priority areas, we come across with many of the things that India need to address as of now by 2022. And we all are aware of the fact that poverty and urbanization is the first thing that India has to try and eradicate, because this is the one that has been on a brink of the sustainable development. If you're trying making ensure that the poverty and urbanization has been achieved by 2022, that more than like half of them will be achieving our sustainable development, because much of our India's reflection goes to the outer world in terms of the poverty and the urbanization, because our population dynamics are too high in India. So we have to make it ensure by 2022 all the basic services, employment, livelihoods to all the poor, and excluding all the rural and the urban areas has to be done by 2022. So all the schemes have also been launched, which I will make you through in my next slide. And the other part after the poverty is we talking about the nutrition. Now, nutrition and the food security is also one key aspect that many of the million children are still not able to get the right amount of food, right amount of nutrition. And we have seen all anywhere especially in India, the food security and the nutrition is on a very much on a brink, and we need to make it ensure by 2022 that all the children they enjoy the essential nutrition services, whether they're coming from the rural background or whether coming from the urban slum areas. We have to make it a good proper usage of the nutrition. Education employability now is a one key aspect because the youth is the future of the India now. The young people, the adults, and especially the ones who are coming from the vulnerable groups, they enjoy access to the quality learning at all levels of the education. Now, when we talk about the education, we are also talking about the sustainable education now. Now, the schools, these schools, management schools, universities, they are coming up with the concept of the sustainable education now, because the sustainability education is the one thing that will transform the 10 years of the action. If you all are aware about the sustainable development, at least by 2022, if all the schools, all the education institution, the B school management school are aware about the sustainable education and try and make more youth aware on the development issues, we would be almost going in a very right track, because the youth is the one that will be going to take the future forward. And we said, and we when we talk about the education, we also talk about the skill development. Now the children are very much in the school. When we talk about them, we are also stating the fact that children need to be aware on more on the skills part. Skill development is the one crucial thing that has been coming up, and we all need to be aware that what kind of education the school institution is providing and also the colleges are providing to the youth. That is very much critically important when we talk about the priority areas that the United Nations have set it up. Another three areas that we are also covering up in the environment, we have the climate change, clean energy, disaster resilience, because you all are aware that we are very much not on track of the climate change. It has been, the global warming has been on the brink, renewable energy has almost been on the brink of the side, and disasters are happening every year. So everything is correlated with the disaster management. If the climate change is happening rigorously and we are not on track to make the clean and renewable energy, we are very much deploying all our natural resources going forward, and we need to control on this way. So by 2022, many of the environmental schemes have also been launched by India, and we are going to take it forward when how we are launching. Yes, Swachh Bharat Mission, we have almost all the renewable energy schemes that India has been running off. And by 2022, at least half of the renewable energy, the grids that we are planning, will make it ensure that the India is much on track, at least to deliver the renewable energy. Now, coming on to the another aspect of the gender equality. The gender equality and the youth development is the one also key crucial aspect, because now we are very much seeing that the men and the women are not getting the equal rights. Equal rights mean to say that the equal jobs, equal pay, equal economics, equal political rights. This very much need to be addressed in all the nations, and every nation has been calling out on the gender equality part. And we will close the gender gap almost in 200 and almost 200 approximate crossing over the years, and still not that enough, because we are very much behind. And this is the key aspect that United Nations and India have given a priority on this part. Other part we will be talking is the skilling that I've already said. On the education part, we need to very much focus on this, because the students who are taking the future forward, they need to be very much neutral on the skills education. Rather than mugging up the education, they need to very much aware on what kind of innovation, what kind of challenges the school is providing, what kind of education innovation the students are trying to bring up. It is very much important going forward, because skills, entrepreneurship will be the way forward in transforming the job creation. Because after the pandemic is happening and what the consequences we will see, we need the youth to be more developed on the skills education part more, rather than the curriculum. And that is why the new education policy has also been come up, which talks about more on the skill education more. Now, So these are some of the illustrations with the SDGs that our government of India has launched, and this has been very much in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals. You all have heard very much in your news all throughout, where we know all these schemes are very much, but these schemes have very much aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. So when we talk about all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, we know about the Make in India, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Pradhan Mantri Dhan Jan Yojana, Smart City, Green Mission, Afforestation Program, Biofuels, Narega policy. So whatever you heard all about in news about all these schemes, they have been given very much weightage and importance in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goal. So the government is equally focusing on the agenda of the sustainable development for a very long time, not before these things in 2015 were officially launched, but the India has been mirroring this concept of the sustainable development for a very long back. But now, since officially it has been launched, so we are trying to accelerate the achievement of all these goals. So when we talk about all these schemes, we are very much trying to make it ensure that through the government, all the stakeholders have to participate. Now, when we talk about the gender equality in Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao, we know that India is not going very much on track. We are seeing a lot of violence in India in terms of the gender equality. We are seeing everyday violence coming up. That is why the scheme was launched. This campaign was launched to make people aware about the things that this is not on a right track, and this is why through these schemes we make people more sensitized about it, make them aware about it, because if the government is not participating, then all the stakeholders will not be able to reciprocate their jobs within their own field and will not be able to achieve the goal. So the role of the government is very much crucial when we talk about the achievement of the sustainable development goals. So all these schemes that you see, they have been very much given through the sustainable development each concept, and this is just one scheme I have just figured out, but there are many other schemes that the government of India is actually focusing on, because every year we come across with lot of issues. Now in good health and well-being after the pandemic, we have a lot of health infrastructure revisions in the health infrastructure coming up. So a lot of developments every month the government is taking, and Niti Aayog is the one government institution that ministry has aligned. So the Niti Aayog has been taking control of all the achievement of the sustainable development goals within the India. And there is one concept through the Niti Aayog that they are trying to make it ensure that every state cover up the SDG and they perform on the matrices. Okay, so this is how the alignment of the SDGs along with the government collaboration has been given. And these are the schemes that other institutes, academy and corporates, they try and make it ensure that how we have to proceed the way forward. Once the government launches the scheme, now it is our thing that how we have to take it forward, and we have to sensitize the people about this thing, because knowing the scheme is just not enough, but knowing exactly how it has to be implemented, what are we aware of, because many of us will or not be aware about all the things that has been happening in all the schemes. So it is very much important to go through the schemes that the government has given the importance, and it's very much they are doing the developments day by day, launching all the programs, new programs, considering the development indices that the India is heading forward. Now, you all know about the Greta Thunberg. So she was the one powerful lead when the climate crisis was happening. So she was the one who actually took up the campaign, and she ran behind the United Nations at the COP in the Poland summit that happens twice in a year. And we saw that the Greta Thunberg was one that key campaign and the activist who has been running on the climate action for a very long time. And this is how the power of the youth has been defined. This is where we talk about the role of the youth in coming forward, in coming and knowing about the actions that the youth has been taking, because the role of the youth in any country, whether we talk about India or whether we talk about any other European nation, youth is the face of tomorrow. So, whenever we talk about the sustainable development, we always emphasize on the youth, because youth is going to take the future forward. They are going to be the ones who will be the game changer for the next 10 years. And they are the ones who will be actually mirroring the whole concept of the sustainable development to the major stakeholders. So she's the one big environmental activist, and she has been taking all the environmental climate operations, all the campaigns, the major campaigns at the UN level and also at the country level. She has been all the ambassador of making this forward and making people aware about it. Now, coming on to the new education policy that this government of India has launched, and also the highlights of the NEP when we talk about the whole education system that has been transformed after the 34 years. So why it has been, given the importance on the SDGs? As you all are aware of the fact that the quality education, the goal number 4, the SDG 4, is very critical to the sustainable development, because the education system once in any country or any of the nation that we're talking about, they play a very crucial role, because going forward, only when the whole education system is aware about the concept on the sustainable development, then only after the when they go to the new curriculum, they after the 12th standard, they go to the management, they go to the B schools. They need to be very much aware on these aspects very much. So that is why the school structure, which was given the importance in the national education policy, the thing that was very much given a weightage, that the school students also need to get the internships, get more skill education, because that is the way forward going, that's going to be transformed, and this is how the students will learn about it. And when we talk about the NEP and the SDG 4, the education policy has been not giving a much weightage before this NEP was launched, and we thought that a lot of things has been missing in the education curriculum, considering the fact that students now need to be aware on the more new continental subjects now. And we talk about the more traditional knowledge or the more continental subjects that we are trying to make it ensure the students opt for their good knowledge and also going forward. So the whole NEP was given the weightage in terms of getting the more good education policy, more with the largest within this largest democracy of the world that we are living up in. It is important that it is very much required. The new charter was very much required, and it happened after the 34 years. So the almost all the weightage of this NEP was given to the goal number 4, the SDG 4 of the quality education that we talk about. And when we talk about the NEP, we only highlight the fact that the student need to have a more practical and the application knowledge more, because mugging up the whole concept of the education or the daily things that you learn in your classroom, that's not much way forward going and transforming your education in the higher senior secondary when you go on. So your practical and the application knowledge is very much required when we talk about the NEP, which has given a very much advantage and the more weightage on the internships more that will be coming forward in the NEP. And once it is being adopted by all the education institution, we will be seeing a lot of change in the education system that will be coming up. In all the education universities, they will be governing a lot of new innovation labs. So now the concept of the innovation labs have also been coming up in the school. The Atal Innovation Lab that the Niti Aayog has been transforming through their own institution, Atal AIB Innovation Incubation Center we have launched. So the students need to be aware about all these things, because going forward, the job jobs are going to very much change. We are not going to live in the world in the next 10 years when we only talk about the medical or the engineering. There are a lot of things coming up now. We have artificial intelligence. We have contemporary subjects now opening up in the field of the arts, in the humanities, and also in the science. So every student need to be aware on much on the practical knowledge more, and application is very much important going forward, and that is why the NDP is going to transform the whole education system considering the sustainability within the part. So this is how we talk about the quality education and the sustainable development goal. Now the whole role of the academia, when we talk about the sustainable development, they have to make it ensure the basic applied technical knowledge, scientific research is all within the primary level of the education. So once the student is aware on these things in the academia education, we are going to way forward in the sustainable development, that students need to be aware on the concepts, basically the applied knowledge, the scientific knowledge, the innovation that will only happen at the time of the when they are actually graduating or when they are doing their senior secondary education at this point of time. So it is the role of the academia is critical and very important in advancing the sustainable development goals, because this is the whole way that going forward how we're going to accelerate it, because this concept is very new. The sustainable development goals, it's just only 5 years and many people are not even aware about it, and it is a duty of every teacher within the school education to try and make the sustainability, all the goals implemented within their education institution. So when we talk about any subjects like science, humanities, or any other commerce, everything has a link to the sustainable development. Each and every goal you will find a link over there, and when we are aware of the concept, we are also aware about the more on the sustainable development part more. So this is how the role of the academia has been creating a lot of importance. Now, there's one concept that I will make you through. So that is a PRME. It's a Principle for Responsible Management Education. This is the PRME initiative that has been launched by the United Nations Global Compact. And the United Nations Global Compact is only one body of the United Nations that has been advancing the sustainability. And I am being part of this United Nations Global Compact for a very long time. So we have made the concept of the Principle Responsible Management Education, where we are transforming the sustainable development for the schools, for the B schools, and for the management institutes, where we are working closely with the faculty to have the education in terms of refinement, the skills, the mindsets, and everything that how the student need to be aware about their education concepts more. So the PRME is the one way forward going in terms of advancing the education and also the sustainable education more. When we talk about the education now going forward, it has to be about the sustainable education. So PRME, initially when it was launched, it has to be given a more concept on the sustainable development part, and there has to be a lot of collaboration that happens. So when we talk about the sustainable education, we also talk about the business collaboration. We talk about the placements with the companies. We talk about the multi collaboration, so that students, when they are trying to inculcate the sustainability, the companies who are going to hire them, it will be much more easier for them, so that the whatever skills they are advancing, it will be easier for the future leaders, and how the innovation is important, it will become easier for the collaboration going forward with the business. So this is how the concept of the PRME, and with the vision going forward by also with the Antonio Guterres, who is the United Nations Secretary General, also faced on the fact that the PRME initiative was launched to nurture the responsible leaders of the future. Never has this task been more important. Bold leadership and innovative thinking are needed to achieve the sustainable development goals. When we talk about the bold leadership and the innovative thinking, we are transforming the leadership from the higher management, from the higher authorities, because they are the ones who have to try to inculcate the whole concept of the sustainability within the school education. And the innovative thinking, all students have their own innovation, they have their own ideas of the creativity. We have to give the whole innovation now into the sustainable development now. So this is how the PRME is making the transform in the education system. This is how you see a classroom where you see one on the right hand side. You see the people, and there's one teacher who is trying to educate the students about the recycling now. And there's one box of the plastic bottles, and students are wearing the green t-shirts. So the green t-shirts, whatever they're wearing, you see that sign of the recycle, reduce, reuse, recycle, the triple R. So this is how the innovation in many of the countries, like in European nations, and also throughout the some of the Asian countries, in Singapore, Thailand, many of the school education are trying to make students aware through these unique concepts. They have their labs, they have their education curriculum so much refined in a way that the students do the activities together, they understand about it, they need to be aware about all the concepts going forward, whether it's environment, whether it's equality, whether it's poverty. So this is how the schools are advancing, and they're adopting the ways to make students aware on some of the issues very much which are important. And on the left hand side, you see a bunch of the practical classroom where the students are having their laptops. So they are having a more advantage on the skills education, on the computer educations. And this is how it is going to be transformed. So you have to be very much aware going forward, because school is only the basic level that you understand the concept of the sustainability. And in the higher level education, once you're aware about the facts, it will be easier for the education institute and also the management institute to make it a way forward. And this is just a one example, but there are other brilliant examples also that many of the schools have been trying to adopt and make students aware on much of the key issues of the sustainability. Now, even after 4 years, in 2020, we are not just on track of the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Why we are not on track? Because we are not moving ahead in a direction where we need to be. So today it's 4 years, like almost in 2016, when this sustainable development came into the force. So we thought that at least by 2020, we would have been trying to achieve more of the goals, but we are not on track. We are not on track to deliver what we have. We have made the things in mind, whatever targets of the SDGs that we have made up. We are seeing so much deviations in the sustainable development goals, and you need to open up your eyes that we are still not going ahead in a direction, and it will take another 25 to 30 years to make this sustainable development achieve. And the timelines that we have now, it is very short. Only 10 years are left now, and it is very crucial of each and every nation to go forward in such a direction that we try and achieve it. We have the gender gap in 257 years to be closed. 8 million tons of plastic still enters the ocean. Child labor is still throughout the world is 150 million. Global warming have to be reduced by 1.5 degrees Celsius. We are still not on track. And 1 million species still face their extinction as of now. We are still not on track. We have to work together, and we can only work together when we transform our partnerships together. And when we transform our partnership together, we go ahead in such a way that we aware people, we educate people, we sensitize people, we work together, we do the collaborations together. That is the only way forward that we have to proceed on this. And now with the COVID-19 this year, the halt has been given. It's an economic crisis, it's a social crisis, and it's a human crisis. You see the facts, 60% of the women employment is still in the informal economy. Women who's aged 25 to 35, they are more likely than to live in the extreme poverty conditions. 14% of the working hours globally has been wiped out. 93% of the world workers continue to reside in countries. 4.9% we are decrease in the global GDP for the 2020 projection. There is a complete crisis now with this COVID-19. There is a halt on the sustainable development. But after this pandemic, we have to come up. The things are definitely getting open up, and the sustainable development still has to be on the track of the achievement. And how we have to achieve is the fact that we are consciously try and make people aware, sensitized. Now you see, in just 1 year of the COVID, India has how much transformed its medical. They have been doing a lot of developments in the PPE kits of all the things in the medical that they could. We never expected years back, such thing would come up, and we will try and figure out. So we are going from a global to a local model now. We are transforming our infrastructure. We have realized this thing that the sustainable development is the niche, is the thing that we have to achieve going forward. We are concerned about the climate, the pollution. So much has been given importance this year, as you have already have seen now. But in a right direction, now we have to move forward now with the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. And in 1999, Kofi Annan, the UN Secretary General, he was the one who was actually a man behind the sustainable development. He proposed the global compact of shared values, of principles which will give a human face to the global market. It was a man behind the sustainable development. He was the one who actually thought going forward, the United Nations have to come across and they have to build up something which is going to be a game changer, because the economy is on the brink. Nations are crashing with each other, and we only can be live in the harmony only when there is a sustainable development. Now, when we talk about the UNGC, which I represent, the United Nations Global Compact is one of the largest corporate sustainability initiative. In this UNGC, we have all the academia, we have the CSOs, all the NGOs, all the business corporates, key CEOs participating in the UN Global Compact. In the UN Global Compact, the whole vision and mission is to do the sustainability and educate the sustainability through 4 principles. Now, there are 4 principles in the United Nations Global Compact. The first is the human rights, second is the labor, third is the environment, and fourth is the anti-corruption. So this is the principle-based approach to deliver the sustainable development, and been trying to make ensure that every institution, every school, every business, every CSO, every government, wherever in India, state government, they have to collaborate and they have to implement the sustainability. So we are present in 160 plus countries as of now, and there are a lot of commitments from major schools, from the major business coming up to make ensure the sustainability within their whole supply chain. And going forward, after this, the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals can only be done together if we can change the world. Now, when we talk about together, we talk about the partnerships. Partnership, we want through the government, through the UN India agencies. We are already doing that. Private and the public sector, academia, civil society, and all of us. It is a duty of every citizen, of every citizen from any of the stakeholders who are representing. We have to be ensured on this part. We have to ensure that we have to do this and implement together. And Antonio at the COP25 rightly said the fact that the point of no return is no longer over the horizon, and it is in sight and hurtling toward us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here with us today and for such an enlightening, impactful presentation. It has indeed helped us gain insight into the Sustainable Development Goals and the Agenda 2030. Thank you so much. May I now request the Principal Dr. Rajian Kumar to say a few words to our August gathering here and declare the conclave open.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure knowing Tamanna Grover. She was too good. I have no words to express. She has gone out of her duty to present such a beautiful thoughts and ideas. And I'm sure the Sustainable Development Goals of UN will be studied by our children, and I'm sure we will also do something to contribute, maybe a drop in the ocean. I can assure you, Tamanna ma'am, that we are all there to ensure that by 2030 the goals are reached. And we are going to add to our vision and mission so that every child contributes to it. And every person in our family of Bagrodian family will surely contribute to whatever we can. And Tamanna ma'am, you have been a great speaker. We are all motivated, and I'm sure all the children in the conclave have got enriched with your thoughts. And with these words, I declare the virtual conclave open. Thank you so much, Tamanna ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Raji. It's wonderful and a pleasure knowing you. And I hope that NK Bagrodia going forward will be able to achieve the sustainable development within their curriculum going forward.
Yes,
Thank you for inviting me.
Surely, I'm going to incorporate that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Moving on. Hence, as the United Nations completes its 75 years and with the 5th anniversary of the adoption of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, today we have delegates from several United Nations member states putting forth and making a case for the contributions their respective countries have made towards achieving these 17 global goals. With our youth for SDGs, ladies and gentlemen, let us begin with the conclave. The first delegate for the day is from a country that, through its contributions towards creating sustainable development and resilient societies, has acquired the first rank in the SDG 2020 index. With an overall score of 84.7 on the SDG index, I call upon the delegate of Sweden. Delegate, you have the floor.
Of this agenda by 2030, owing to prevailing peaceful and democratic conditions that have led to a collaboration among various societal actors, our country has aimed to utilize this chance well, with an ambition to be a leader in the implementation of this agenda. The Sustainable Development Report assesses that our country has already met 79 indicators of the Global Indicator Framework for the SDGs, which accounts for 32% of the total number. Sweden has so far achieved 4 of the 17 SDGs, namely poverty, health and well-being, gender equality, and clean energy. Significant strides have also been made in several other areas. Sweden has had positive results in goals pertaining to education, water and sanitation, economic growth, infrastructure, terrestrial life, and strong justice systems and institutions. Even though we have seen significant progress, many challenges still remain, both for Sweden and for the rest of the world on our way to achieving sustainable development. Our country faces major challenges in areas of hunger, responsible consumption and production, climate action, and marine life, and has been working persistently towards overcoming these challenges. Sweden's main challenge regarding Goal 2, which is hunger, are tackling the increasing obesity among the population and the subpar human trophic level. In regards to Goal 12, responsible consumption and production, and Goal 13, climate action, the greenhouse gas emissions within the country have reduced by 14% between 2008 and 2014. However, challenges still remain regarding finding a strong and effective method of reducing emissions. As for Goal 14, marine life, Sweden faces a set of challenges that are interrelated to Goal 12 and 13 and has planned to work with other coastal states for meeting all indicators and targets under this goal. Sweden is confident in the work done towards the implementation of the 2030 agenda, both within the country and internationally, and will continue to actively contribute towards achieving the global goals and in following up and reporting the progress being made. Sweden understands that the essence of sustainable development lies in taking everyone along beyond national boundaries and will remain very active internationally, both in the European Union and in the United Nations system, in order to promote the implementation of the 2030 agenda. Tack så mycket for having me.
Thank you so much, Delegate of Sweden. That was absolutely phenomenal. Now we move on to the next delegate, who is from a country that has been called a global advocate for sustainable development and has been responsible for an agreement that set course for developing resilient and low emissions development models known as the Paris Agreement. With an SDG ranking of 4, I now call upon the delegate of France. Delegate, you have the floor.
Thank you, Speaker. All systems and societies naturally develop. However, in this day and age, development is moving at breakneck speeds. The only problem is that not everyone considers the downsides that come along with an unbalanced economic growth, including impact on people's well-being and environment. It's time goals need to be changed in their perspective on unbalanced development by setting goals, sustainable goals. According to Brundtland report, sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability for the future. Today, every United Nations member is trying to state their best to achieve 17 sustainable development goals set in 2015 by 2030. With this, bonjour à tous. I am Prisha, a delegate of France. I would like to say that my country, France, strongly supported the UN's adoption of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development to eradicate poverty, combat inequalities, and protect the nature. France has achieved a high standard of living and quality of life driven by inclusion, social security systems, and access for all to healthcare, basic goods, and services. Any person residing in France is guaranteed a minimum income and essential services that are education, power supply, housing benefits, etc., as social inclusion and poverty exit mechanism. This takes the form of welfare, supplementary benefits, and free public services. On August 17, 2015, the Energy Transition for Green Growth Act gave legislature shape to France's voluntary commitment to cut its greenhouse gas emission by 40%. The act sets target to increase the share of renewable energy sources over 30% by the final energy consumption in 2030. The Government Industry of the Future program designed to modernize French productive machine based on the use of digital technologies also include a goal to improve the energy efficiency at industrial processes, new resources and sustainable cities. These are our two industrial solutions that focus more on energy transition. France, as one of the 10 countries with the largest number of endangered species, has taken measures to protect its marine and land ecosystem against artificial land cover, overexploitation of resources, climate change, and pollution. With Peru, Morocco, and United Nations, France has encouraged all civil societies placed to be rallied to this cause under the Lima Paris Agenda Action, which today united over 10,000 players from around 180 countries working in 70 international coalition. France hosted and cheered up SOP21, which drove the first universal agreement on climate change that called for respect for human rights. And lastly, it has also actively defended the principle of carbon pricing at European and international level. Though many goals are yet to be completed, but my country, France, is still working hard to make this world a better place to live. That's why we say, live and let live. With this, je vous remercie. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Delegate of France. Moving on, the next delegate is from a country committed to ambitious implementation of the agenda from the very outset and has already taken some first important steps towards putting it into practice at the national level. This country is one of the most sustainable industrialized nations. I now call upon the delegate of Germany. Delegate, the floor is yours.
Thank you, moderator, for that wonderful introduction. Today, I'm not here to tell you a tale of two cities, but of one country named Germany. The globalized world we live in is characterized by numerous and complex interdependencies. These are times of great challenges, and overcoming them will determine the future of humankind and the planet. With these words, Guten Morgen, ladies and gentlemen present here. Ich heiße Raghav, the delegate from Germany. To start with, I would like to say that my country has not only implemented, executed, but has made itself one of the most sustainable industrialized nation, as correctly said by the moderator. My country adopted its first sustainable development strategy in the year 2002, way before the Sustainable Development Goals came into being, says enough. Since then, it has been updated at regular intervals. Sustainability means living from the yield and not from the substance. In terms of society, it means that each generation must resolve the challenges facing by it rather than passing it on to the next generation. Germany has also been in a ton of collaborations and tie ups between both developing and developed countries. My country has spent lots of money on gender equity, clean water and sanitation, peace, justice, and institution are just a few to name. For example, in the health sector, Germany has universal multi-payer healthcare system. It encompasses both statutory health insurance for people who earn less than a certain salary, as well as private health insurance for those who earn more and choose to purchase their own. Education is available for all in the form of equal opportunities and high quality. Lower secondary completion rate, PISA score, and net primary enrollment rate is extremely high. Germany also in the year 2017 and 2018 facilitated the Zukunft Fertiglos Ready Set Future competition, an educational competition addressing children, youth, and young adults with the aim of raising awareness of the Sustainable Development Goals in early childhood education to adults as well as in professional education. Me- Mean area that is protected in terrestrial sites and freshwater sites is important to biodiversity and is taken of special care in Germany. My country has also aided other countries to follow their goals. For example, the Blue Action Fund, which is a conservation trust fund dedicated to supporting marine protected areas and coastal waters of Africa, Latin America, and Asia, is a non-profit foundation established under the German law. Also, Germany generates one third of its electricity from renewable resources, which significantly reduces the emission of greenhouse gases. However, I would also like to raise some problems that my country is facing in this conclave. One of the challenges that Germany faces is improving wage growth for workers. Natural demographic balance of Germany is highly negative, around minus 19,000 per year. Hence, Germany needs sustained immigrant flows, and if this does not happen, Germany would feel a harsh decline in its living standards. So, what we expect here from other countries is to migrate their citizens to Germany. Thinking from your perspective, we don't want the best of human capital, but just the labor class would work. Also, the temporary breakdown of open borders during the COVID-19 crisis highlighted the need to strengthen European integration, and that's what we are looking forward to. Hence, after covering all the facts and concluding my speech, I would just like to say that in these times, we should not only think of ourselves or just our country, but as one earth. Only then we would be able to come out of this together. Vielen Dank. Thank you, everyone. I rest here.
Thank you so much, Delegate of Germany. That was indeed an impactful case you made there. The next delegate comes from a country that regards the 2030 Agenda with its 17 Sustainable Development Goals as a transformative global roadmap for our national and international efforts aimed at eradicating extreme poverty while protecting planetary boundaries and promoting prosperity, peace, and justice. I now call upon the delegate of Norway. Delegate, you have the floor.
Thank you, moderator, for the recognition. Norway regards the 2030 Agenda with its 17 SDGs as a transformative global roadmap for our national and international efforts aimed at eradicating extreme poverty while protecting planetary boundaries and promoting prosperity, peace, and justice. It's a universal agenda to which all countries and all relevant stakeholders can and must contribute. Norway ranks high in terms of global implementation and has already achieved a number of goals. Norway faces challenges in the social and economic dimensions, such as lifestyle diseases, secondary school completion rates, violence against women and children, equality, and migration. We are stepping up our efforts to ensure high quality education and equal employment opportunities for everyone. The global aim is to eradicate extreme poverty while protecting planetary boundaries and promoting prosperity, peace, and justice in all parts of the world. We continue our dialogue with civil society and other stakeholders. We must incorporate peace and stability, good governance, respect for human rights, and the rule of law as fundamental elements in effective economic and sustainable development. Whether we are supporting the Colombian peace process, cooperating with African nations on health and education, or providing humanitarian aid to Syrian refugees, we are investing in our common future and showing international solidarity. The delegate is pleased to report that our level of development assistance, currently at around 1% of gross national income, continues to enjoy broad political popular support in Norway. Norway has already ratified the Paris Agreement, which which will be the main basis for our climate action. Norway is committed to reducing emissions by at least 40% by 2030 compared with the 1990 level. We have been investing in projects to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from deforestation and forest degradation in the Amazonian region, Africa, and Asia. Norway will continue to invest its initiatives for vaccines and disease control. National governments have the main responsibility for implementing the SDGs through political action and at home and abroad. I can assure all stakeholders that Norway will continue to do its share. Quickly summarizing what Norway is doing to implement the four most important SDGs according to the average expert scores. Goal 10, reduce inequality within and among countries. Income inequalities and racial inequalities in Norway are lower than in almost all other countries. High employment and relatively low unemployment mean that a large percent of the population participates in income generating work. Goal 1, end poverty in all its form everywhere. The majority of the Norwegian population has a high standard of living. Norway is among the countries with the smallest income inequalities. Although in the 3-year period of 2012-2014, 9% of the population had an average income lower than 60% of the median income. All the sections of the population have benefited from a rise in incomes and a standard of living. Goal 5. Goal 5. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Norway is a gender egalitarian society. Norway has invested in universal welfare schemes designed to make it possible for parents to combine family life and work and participate in politics. The level of representation of women in the government and in local decision-making bodies is high. When it comes to women's representation, therefore, Norway is one of the leading countries and is often used as a model. Goal 7. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. In 2016, the Norwegian government submitted a white paper energy policy to the Storting. The main message of the white paper is that security of supply, climate change, and economic development must be considered together to secure an efficient and climate-friendly energy supply. The SDG 7 targets on energy have been achieved nationally or are in line with national policies and goals. We have universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy services for all, as appropriate. Almost 100% of our electricity production is from renewable energy resources. The share of renewable energy in Norway's total energy consumption, including transport, is around 69%. Now that I've touched the point, I would like to point out the fact that even though Norway ranks below nations like Germany and Sweden in SDG index ranking, still Norway has a lower average carbon footprint of 8.28% per ton, 8.28 tons per person, while 9.44 tons per person in Germany, which claims to have started taking steps in 2002, and 10 tons per person in Sweden, which is quite shocking as Sweden ranks number 1. Oh, and the superpowers, how could we forget? The only thing bigger than USA's army is their carbon footprint of a whopping 16 tons per person. That's my time.
Thank you, Delegate of Norway. That was an amazing speech you made there. The country our next delegate comes from was at the forefront of negotiating the SDGs and is committed to be at the forefront of delivering them. This country lobbied hard to make sure the SDGs support the continuation of the work undertaken through the MDGs. I now call upon the delegate of United Kingdom. Delegate, you have the floor.
Thank you, moderator. I, Aishwarya, the delegate of United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, is proud to state that UK was at the forefront of negotiating the SDGs and will be at the forefront of delivering them. The UK lobbied hard to make sure the Sustainable Development Goals support the continuation of work undertaken to the Millennium Development Goals. Our future and its commitment to leave no one behind is an important recognition of the centrality of gender equality to the SDG agenda and the need for equitable progress. The UK government has championed the core principle of the pledge that no one should be left behind. We promise to ensure that every person has a fair opportunity no matter who or where they are. People who are the furthest behind, who have the least opportunity, and who are the most excluded will be prioritized. Every person counts and will be counted. Since the SDGs came into force, there have been several examples of good practice. Department for International Development and has made some progress in its planning and establishment of inclusion strategy, the strategic vision for gender equality, the LGBT approach, and the youth agenda. This commitment to leave no one behind reflects the value placed on each and every individual across the world, irrespective of sex, disability, age, race, religion, or belief, or even sexual orientation. It is a recognition that when people are marginalized or excluded, societies are less stable and economies are weaker. When people are left behind, everyone suffers the consequences. At all levels, the UK works to understand who, where, and why people are being left behind. Include people by delivering targeted programs and services to those who are seldom heard, and empower people to be agents of change by working with others to challenge discrimination and harmful social norms. Out of all 17 goals, the UK is performing best on Goal 3, good health and well-being, Goal 4, quality education, and Goal 17, partnership for goals. In spite of targets of Goal 15 being marked as poor, UK has maintained its official commitment to their implementation. But my country isn't performing well on Goal 15 because the land here is intensively managed and used, with agriculture accounting for approximately 70 to 75% of land use. There are large pressures on UK wildlife and habitats, with 56% declining over the last 5 decades. The responsibility doesn't just rest with the government. We can only achieve the goals if government, business, academics, and civil society organizations work together to overcome our shared challenges. But keeping all the challenges it faces, UK still manages to rank up to 13 out of all countries considered. Unlike Nihon, isn't it, delegate of Japan? That too with a remarkable score of 79.79%. I would like to conclude by quoting, "Leave no one behind. The fallen are a reflection of life that might have been our own. Because to left behind or to leave behind, I wonder which hurts the most." Thank you.
Thank you so much, Delegate of United Kingdom. That was amazing. The next delegate comes from a country that has embarked on creating an inclusive and participatory society in which every individual can achieve his or her full potential. It aims to become a role model in the implementation of measures to achieve the SDGs worldwide, where no one is left behind. From the land of the rising sun, I now call upon the delegate of Japan. Delegate, you have the floor.
Thank you, moderator. Konnichiwa, Madam Panelists, ladies and gentlemen. In late 19th century, Japan defended itself against colonial rule by building its economy upon advanced technology and export-led growth. It is a tradition that Japan maintains to the present day. As a world leader in sustainable technology, when the world adopted Millennium Development Goals, Japan added an important dimension through human security. National security is not enough. Freedom from want must be accompanied with freedom from fear. We are now in the age of sustainable development, and once again, the world can count on Japan's visionary role in achieving them. Japan is pioneering the pathway to a low pace facing a demographic transition. For the latter, we have pledged $1 trillion pension fund. We have been on health missions in Myanmar, Vietnam, Senegal, and also been working with WHO to eradicate malaria from Africa. So since last 60 years, Japan has contributed immensely towards sustainable growth. And building upon these past achievements, we will continue to promote the 2030 Agenda based on the concept of human security, a guiding principle of the Charter we adopted. To achieve quality growth, we will take a leading role in promoting quality infrastructure investment across the world. Japan will also partner up with the private sector to make sure there are no financial strains. Second approach is the protection and empowerment of vulnerable sections to ensure no one is left behind in terms of health. For this, Japan has announced a global health policy to strengthen health systems for public health emergencies such as we face today. Thirdly, Japan will strengthen its efforts to achieve sustainable environment. From climate change to creating a material cycle society, Japan will steadily implement assistance. Since 2015, we have come a long way, and some efforts have already begun. For example, shopping centers have begun collaborating with local restaurants to eliminate food waste. Food waste of around 30 tons per day is being converted into pig feed for sustainable pork. In schools, sustainable education is being promoted, where students come up with solutions facing their localities with joint participation. In kindergartens, schools are attached with community learning to help each other every day and also in events of frequent disasters that we as an island nation face. At the end, by 2030, Japan will strive to address the challenges it faces today, like climate action, gender equality, and partnerships. With this, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Japan. That was indeed a riveting speech. Moving on to the next delegate, this delegate represents the country whose developmental success is its sharing of knowledge and experience on the development through international cooperation. Focusing on disseminating what this country did rather than imposing what other countries should do, this country incorporates the lessons drawn from its own experience into international development cooperation. I now call upon the delegate of the Republic of Korea. Delegate, the floor is yours.
Thank you, moderator. There is no plan B because we do not have a planet B. We have to work and galvanize our action. A beautiful depiction of the reality given by Ban Ki-moon. Annyeonghaseyo, I'm Mona Sengupta, delegate for South Korea. Korea has been making considerable attempt at transforming itself into a sustainably developed country. This effort of South Korea can be seen in its policy for sustainable development. The Korean government's commitment to sustainable development, which started with the Earth Summit in 1992, is a continuation of this persistent developmental effort. Since then, a series of laws and policies have been introduced to establish organizations for the implementation of sustainable development goals. The government is paying special attention to gender equality issue. The Framework Act on Gender Equality, phase 2015, and the Act on Promotion of Economic Activities of Career Interrupted Women 2010 are in effect. In particular, the FAGE contains reinforced policy for gender equality, such as implementing quota for administrative position in the public organization. Now, moving on to education in Korea. South Korea is one of the top performing OECD countries in reading, literacy, mathematics, and sciences. The country has one of the world's highest educated labor forces among the OECD countries, and South Korea is very well known for its obsession with education, which is often been referred to as the education fever. Since the adoption of SDGs in 2015, civil society in South Korea has been working very actively for improving the awareness as well as the implementation. However, a coin has two sides. With the positives comes the negative. Korea has been excelling in many areas but is lacking in provision of SDGs to all of its population equally. According to OECD, the relative poverty is on the rise from about 8% in the early 1990s to 15% in 2012. Poverty in Korea is mostly affecting the elderly, and in fact, about half of the citizens over 65 live in relative poverty. This is the highest among the OECD countries. Now, climate change is a phenomenon which has gripped every nation of Asia, and South Korea is no stranger to this. The document that deals with climate change in Korea states that after rapid urban and industrial development from 1960s to 1980s, climate change effects accelerated in Korea. The most obvious climate change Korea predicted is the increase in temperature fluctuations throughout the 4 seasons. Now, coming to the end of my speech, I would like to say that in the recent time during the outbreak of COVID-19, we may have slowed down our progress. However, it has not dampened our spirits, and we the 17 goals for the betterment of South Korea and the world as well. Kamsahamnida. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Delegate of the Republic of Korea. The next delegate comes from a country that believes the SDGs are undoubtedly shaping the global norms of sustainable development, and for this delegation, it also represents its country's values and offers a vision that elevates the development principles that have guided its growth and prosperity. I hereby call upon the delegate of the United States of America. Delegate, you have the floor.
Thank you, moderator, for such a lovely introduction. In these difficult times of pandemic, we don't have to think as a state or a country, but as one single entity or a big family. This resonates the idea behind Sustainable Development Goals, which aims at making the world a better place to live. I, the delegate of USA, is proud to announce that USA, being a superpower, has dominated the world in every domain, be it military, culture, economy, technology, or diplomacy. 5 years since the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals, my country has made remarkable progress in many areas, such as improving maternal and child health, expanding access to electricity, increasing women's representation in government, decreasing poverty rate, are just a few to mention. In just a few short years, in areas of health, food security, and energy, our administration is committed and helped mobilize more than $100 billion to promote development and save lives. We have also invested in entrepreneurs, young passionate people, especially women, to accelerate and cultivate our human capital. My country has also been successful in increasing the ratio of female to male in years of education received as well as in labor force. USA is the single largest donor of developmental assistance, including in global health. In times of crisis, from Ebola to Syria, we are the largest provider of humanitarian aid. In times of disaster and crisis, the world can count on the friendship and generosity of the American people. We can take pride in what we have accomplished, but we cannot be complacent. When 11 boys and girls die every single minute from preventable causes, we know we have more work to do. When tens and millions of children are not in school, we know we have more work to do. Some challenges faced by us are gender wage gap, the number of seats held by women in national parliament, traffic deaths, and prevalence of obesity whose BMI is more than 30. Being the wealthiest nation on earth, we are still working every day to perfect our union and be more equal and just and treat the most vulnerable memories of a society with utmost value and concern. We also have problems, but we are ready to work on them. With this, I call upon more institutions, more and more businesses, more faith communities, and finally more citizens to step up with the will and resources and coordination to achieve our goal. This must be the work of the world. And this chapter of development must simply not focus on the dollars we spent, but goals achieved. We should also emphasize on the fact that time alone cannot bring the change. We are the one who can and must be the change, following the American dream that there is no finish line. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Delegate of the United States. That was indeed an insightful speech. The next delegate comes from a country whose own government has established a National Sustainable Development Goals Commission, including 32 representatives from the society and the government. I hereby call upon the delegate of Brazil. The delegate, you have the floor.
Thank you, moderator. We will only secure a prosperous, peaceful, and livable planet if we harness economic growth and development to social solidarity across and between generations. A very warm morning to one and all. Today, I, the delegate of Brazil, is going to elucidate the steps adopted by the country to fulfill Sustainable Development Goals till 2030. The agreed proposal contains 17 goals and 169 targets. In the process of reviewing the SDGs in recent years, Brazil has abandoned many of its commitments, especially since the beginning of the Bolsonaro government. Therefore, it was surprising to see that at the 2019 SDG Summit, out of 100 countries, Brazil offered a specific additional commitment to reduce premature mortality caused by non-communicable diseases to one-third in 2030. The various steps adopted by Brazil are: first, World Without Poverty. Under this policy, a cash transfer program works where parents collect a monthly allowance in exchange for sending their children to school and making sure that they'll get the wellness checkups. The program works in three volumes. First, promoting immediate poverty relief. Second, strengthening the exercise of basic social rights. And third, promoting opportunities for the development of families. It has helped reduce poverty rate from 9.7% to 4.3% in just 10 years. Besides this, the campaign has also brought food security and unified registry, which has helped identify low-income families in need. Second, the Brazil Without Misery Plan, which began in 2011, was designed to aid families with a monthly income of less than $70 per person. Within 4 years, the program saw success by helping about 22 million Brazilian citizens out of extreme poverty. Third, education. President Dilma Rousseff authorized Law Number 12.513 in 2011, which generated a nationwide plan to secure technical educational opportunities for the people of Brazil. The plan permits young adults to obtain eligibility qualifications to gain access to better employment opportunities. Fourth, Rural Poverty Reduction Program. Many of Brazil's poverty reduction programs focus on the national level, but this one focuses at the communal level. According to the World Bank, this method strengthens and empowers the poor while developing social capital. The program focuses on the poor citizens in northeast Brazil, giving those in vulnerable situations a voice and allowing them to participate in the government and state-funded programs will help inspire and embolden those who have lost hope. Fifth, Zero Hunger Program. Brazil's Zero Hunger Program was started to give financial support to farmers while also feeding school children. The program reduced malnutrition in children from 12.7% to 3.5%. while also reducing infant mortality rate. Concluding the speech, I would like to say all the poverty reduction in Brazil is not at 100%. Yet, the president and the government are actively working to reduce poverty rates and taking into consideration the needs of our citizens. Poverty in Brazil has decreased significantly in the past 20 years and will continue to decline in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate, for the formidable case you made there. Moving on to the next delegate. This delegate comes from a country that has a whole of government and a whole of society approach to the implementation of the Agenda 2030 and has fostered partnerships and stakeholder collaboration and the implementation of a communication strategy to increase public awareness. I hereby invite the delegate of Ghana. Delegate, the floor is yours.
Thank you, moderator, for the kind words. The Sustainable Development Goals are not just desirable, they're indispensable investments for our future. Quote by the President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo. Good morning, everyone. I'm the delegate of the beautiful West African country of Ghana. Flourished with a spectacular cultural heritage, the diverse flora and fauna, and a deep-rooted history, Ghana is one of the most rapidly economically advancing countries in Africa. Since its introduction in February 2016, we Ghanaians have fully embraced the Sustainable Development Goals in our country. Therefore now, addressing the implementation of SDGs in our country, the main focus has been on providing quality education to the majority youth population, eradicating poverty, providing employment, and lastly, to help allocate health and food security, especially for women and children. The benefits of providing quality education are well established, as not only does it boost the development of the country, but also ensures many social benefits. To achieve the education goals, the Education Strategic Policy was effectuated in 2018, under which the Free Education Policy was put into effort. Through this, the education till secondary level is free of cost. This was especially advanced towards the more rural areas in Ghana and was effective in increasing the enrollment rate marginally only within its second year of its implementation, especially for women, as the enrollment rate has been of 72% recently. In order to further improve the various health indicators and achieving the health goals till 2030, Ghana has improved the access to affordable primary health care through the national health insurance schemes and the provision of community-based health planning and service compounds in the societies for the inculcation of hygienic habits and family planning. The various policies have been widespread by the government through the effective use of technology. As of now, 38.6% of the people still use non-sanitization facilities as their main facilities, indicating a need for more development. For increasing the food securities within our country, the Global Food Security Strategy was implemented with the objective of sustainably reducing hunger, malnutrition, and poverty, especially among women and children. Because of the proper implementation of this strategy, it has resulted in increasing the agriculture productivity and profitability, and additionally also led to female and youth empowerment in our country. In our country, there are 24.2% poverty, there is a 24.2% poverty rate from the prior of 56.5% in 1991. It is a huge achievement for us Ghanaians, although there is room for more improvement, which is a common feature to many developing countries. We face various challenges including environmental degradation, electric power generation, activities of illegal miners, and etc. Although Ghanaian government plans to tackle each of these problems in the forthcoming years. While many UN branches have been providing financial supports, our Ghanaian people believe we are able to finance our own campaigns while still acknowledging the noble objectives of UN. As taking more aid will only increase our debts. In conclusion, through empirical evidence in development after the implementation of SDGs, it is well versed to say that Ghana is on its path to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals till 2030. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Delegate Prana. That was an absolutely amazing speech. Next, we have a delegate that comes from a country whose first voluntary national review is testimony to the national commitment to the full and integrated implementation of the 2030 Agenda. From the Rainbow Nation, I hereby call upon the delegate of South Africa. Delegate, you have the floor.
Thank you, moderator. Poverty is not an accident. Like slavery and apartheid, it is man-made and can be removed by the actions of human beings. Beginning with this beautiful quote by Nelson Mandela, I, Shirin, the delegate of South Africa, would like to greet you all. Guer More, based in our history of South Africa, come out of apartheid 26 years of democratic governance. The SDGs provide South Africa with an ambitious vision to address and ultimately solve its most pressing societal challenges. The inclusiveness of South Africa's consumption growth remains slow and wealth inequality continues to grow, but South Africa has fared better in addressing poverty. The proportion of the South African population living below the poverty line of $1.9 per day decreased from a high rate of 25.4% in 2006 and to 18.8% in 2015. That is, between 2006 and 2015, approximately 2.3 million South Africans escaped poverty. There has also been a great progress in critical areas such as the provision of clean water for households has been expanded. Over 9 million children attend no-fee schools. Individuals benefiting from the social protection system increased from 3 million in 1994 to 17.5 million in 2018. South Africa has the biggest antiretroviral treatment program in the world, including over 4.5 million people. A major stride in addressing gender inequalities has also taken place. Representation of women in national parliament has increased from 25% in 1994 to 46% in 2019. Approximately 35% of permanent judges are women. In essence, to acting on climate change, a suite of legislation and policies have been adopted, including a carbon tax to address it and to enhance the country's ability to adapt to ongoing environmental challenges. Significant investments are made in renewable energy, cleaner public transport, energy efficiency, waste management, and land restoration initiatives. Being among leaders in the transition of sustainable energy by 2030, ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all, particularly for the poor, has been of utmost importance for South Africa. My country played a crucial role during the development of the global, continental, and regional agendas. Under my country's chairmanship, in 2013, the AU adopted Agenda 2063. Though Africa, we want. We played a key role in the development of indicators for the SDGs and Agenda 2063. Adopted in 2012, the NDP prioritizes the elimination of poverty, reduction of inequality, and growing an inclusive economy by 2030. Being South Africa's development lodestar and roadmap, the NDP has a 74% convergence with the SDGs, along with sectoral programs addressing 19% of the remaining targets. The NDP goals are aligned to SDGs and to AU Agenda 2063 and are integrated into the government planning systems and processes at national, provincial, and local levels. My country has made a great progress in respect of some goals, but is still confronted by major challenges on many fronts. South Africa's economy is a prolonged low growth path. Poverty is prevalent, levels of unemployment are high, especially among the youth. Discrimination still persists and violence against women still continue. These challenges are being addressed. Plans and initiatives are underway to attract investments, stimulate the economy, create jobs, and promote skill development, especially among the youth. I am confident that the reported progress will be maintained and improved for the next report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Delegate of South Africa. That was quite impactful. Now we move on to our last speaker for the day. This delegate comes from a country that has played a prominent role in the formation of the Sustainable Development Goals, and much of the country's national development agenda is mirrored in them. In its first iteration, the index provides a well-rounded picture of this country's inclusive growth trajectory and the status of both national and state level socioeconomic and environmental parameters across a set of 62 indicators. This country is dedicated towards the action of sustainable development. I now call upon the delegate of India. Delegate, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, moderator, for such a wonderful introduction. What we are doing to the poorest of the world is but a mirror reflection of what we are doing to ourselves. First, everyone, today I, the delegate of India, sheer pleasure to represent 130 crores of fraternity. I should, however, say that I'm singularly restricted to speak on this topic of sustainable development. So, recent while, we recorded a strident rise in the Earth's CO2 levels to 400 parts per million, which was never experienced since the prehistoric times. The Amazon wildfires, the Australian wildfires, the Arctic snow melting, unprognosticable rise in the sea levels, etc. We all have made a very frequent acquaintance with all of them since the recent past, and this needs very urgent, pragmatic mitigation to avoid further uncontrollable consequences. India is the 7th largest nation, it's home to 1.3 billion people, and it's one of the top 5 largest economies of the world. So it becomes our larger responsibility to address the sustainable development in the contemporary world. Today, India is a home to 106 people who have been mentioned in the Forbes list, but at the same time, we rank 62nd in the Global Poverty Index. We also experience massive rise in pollution levels and rank as the 5th most polluted country in the world. And it's very important to quote that poverty and pollution doesn't care about international boundaries, and it's a global issue. Therefore, we must take urgent steps to mitigate the above addressed issues. Now let's manifest to what we have achieved in the facets of sustainable development goals and how hard we have pushed our backs to achieve global sustainability. India has managed to achieve 3rd rank globally in the International Solar Index by producing 9,900 megawatts of renewable energy annually. 4 out of the 7 largest solar power plants are home to India. We are also the proud founders of the International Solar Alliance in 2015, and I would like to thank all the member nations for trusting India and providing us an opportunity again to achieve and work for the global sustainability by re-electing us as the president of the International Solar Alliance for the 2nd consecutive term. Today, through our salient efforts, we are able to produce 38 megatons of carbon emission annually by, apart from electrifying the rural India, this feat was also achieved by providing clean cooking fuel to 80 million households. We are envisaged the target to install 450 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030. India has added 883 megawatts of rooftop solar power in just a period of 9 months, despite these unprecedented times of the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, proof that it's not cynical that we are promoting mammoth sustainability, but we are congruent as well as successful to do so. We all must accept that climate change is the consequence of prioritizing human needs over environment, and all the 195 sovereign states of the world are to be held liable for that. But rather than Reiterating what has happened, we should now focus on what we can make happen. And it's our collective responsibility to achieve the Agenda 2030 of the Sustainable Development Goals, so that we should not leave our future generations in the scarcity of resources. Before concluding, I would like to say that the citizens of my country still strive to see India at a respectable position in the United Nations and getting re-elected as the president of the permanent membership in the United Nations Security Council. Now, I would like to thank all of you.
Thank you so much, Delegate of India. That was indeed impactful. This brings us to the end of the dialogue. The performance on the part of the delegates, the cases they made, and the profundity they exhibited was indeed adulatory. As the moderator, I would like to say that through the various cases that were made today by the delegates, it has become evident that the adoption of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in 2015 and the 17 SDGs has now signaled the universal commitment of the world's maven leaders together to confront challenges that must be successfully overcome if humankind is to survive on this planet. It is essential that we fully appreciate the significance of a common cause that unites diverse people from all around the globe to successfully defeat the otherwise most intimidating of human challenges and adversity. The universal fight against the evils of poverty, disease, gender discrimination, climate change will pertain as long as each of us don't take the necessary initiatives that we must. It is our duty that we leave an earth worth habitable to our legacies. Moving on with the event, our school, N.K. Bukrodia Public School, Sector 4, Dwarka, has always believed in inculcating the virtues of sustainable development in individuals ever since younger classes. So it brings me tremendous pride to share with you all the work of our young Bukrodians in contributing towards the SDGs. This e-magazine has been wonderfully crafted by the students of the middle wing. Let's take a look. Their subtle creativity as well as their understanding of the SDGs has been showcased rather splendidly through this e-magazine. They've talked about all the sustainable development goals that are in there, have made posters, speeches. It is indeed laudatory what our young Bukrodians have prepared for us. And now it is the moment all of us have been waiting for, especially the participants, the declaration of the Best Delegate Award. I would request our panelist for the day, Ms. Tamanna Girdhar, to please do the honors.
Thank you, Vidushi. It's very much, for me to see here that many of the students have presented. While it's very difficult to make a tough decision because all of the students who have represented from the countries that you have choose, it's a very unique. All the highlights, all the SDGs that you have highlighted in the specific countries, they are very much relevant, and all the students have brainstormed, everything on the sustainable development, which actually gives me a good picture that you students are very much on a road ahead to on the sustainability era. Keep yourself updating on the sustainable development goals, and I'm very much glad to see that students of the N.K. Bukrodia are very much keen to learn on the concepts and make yourself more aware. Although it's a tough decision and all of the students have done a great job, but there has to be only one student who is very much good with the confidence, and which I assume, and my opinion and my declaration of the result would be going ahead with the Raghav, who has presented from Germany. So he's the one who actually had a lot of confidence. He put it up the facts very much great, with all the things very precisely mentioned about what Germany has been trying to achieve. So can we do the honors by presenting a certificate to Raghav? Can you please all facilitate that?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, Raghav, so you have done a very wonderful job. very nicely presented, and congratulations to you. So we can have a good round of applause for Raghav. So, Raghav, you have actually presented all the things very much great, and keep up the spirit. And I see you as going ahead a good, wonderful international presenter, because you need to keep up all the things. You need to just more refine your skills more, but you're actually on very much on a path. And whatever research and skills that you have highlighted, keep on the track, because this is very much required. Only one suggestion that I will give it to you: when you are presenting, make your points very crisp, and make it highlight in such a way that the audience is getting. But it's very much that you are on the track. You have delivered at even at this age, even at this age, you are actually learning all these things very much, and going ahead, you have a very bright future. And I wish you all the best. And if there is anything that you want help from me, and you want to approach me, or anything that I could do, please do let me know. And I would request the school, if there's anything that the United Nations faculty or anything that we could do, we'll try and implement for you schools and also for the students. So congratulations, Raghav, and all other students too.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, moving towards the end of the event, I would now like to call upon our Vice Principal, Ms. Anjali Kharbanda, to deliver the vote of thanks and bring an end to the event.
Thank you, Vidushi. That was an exceedingly informative session. It's really heartening to see people do a lot of research and enlighten us with their thoughts. I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Tamanna Girdhar on behalf of the entire school, students and faculty. It was such a good experience to hear your thoughts. You enlightened us with such an important aspect of the world today, and also guided us in organizing this session. So a lot of gratitude to you. Thanks a lot. Special thanks to all the students who worked as delegates of various countries. It was an exceedingly good research that you'd done and well presented. All of you spoke really well. I was amazed at your confidence. Also, the efforts of the students who prepared the flip book, that can't be understated, really applaudable. So with such an awareness and enthusiasm shown by our young students, I'm optimistic that the future is bright. Also, special thanks to the teachers who've been involved, especially to Shweta ma'am, Baisakhi ma'am, also to our able compare, Vidushi, under all the guidance of our principal. She's guided and supported us in this. So let's hope that we're all able to contribute in the direction of sustainability with our little efforts. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This brings us to an end of today's event. Thank you everyone for being a part.